Focus, a weekly program about important issues and events in the two Virginias.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of In Focus. This morning, we are talking about some upcoming events in the two Virginias. We are going to start with an author making a stop at a library in Virginia this month. Joining me in the studio to share more information are Brian Shortridge and Teresa Matney with the Buchanan County Library. I want to thank both of you for being here.
Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you for having us.
It's so great to have you both here in the studio, and I'm excited to share information about this author. So she is a New York Times bestseller. She's also a native of Virginia. Her name is Adriana Trigiani. So let's talk about Adriana's visit to the library that's coming up on Thursday, May 25th at 6th.
Okay, well, this is a visit that's been a long time coming. Teresa has been working to get Adriana at our library, I feel like almost as long as we've been working there, and we're so excited for her to finally come visit us. She is a native of Big Stone Gap, Virginia, which is in neighboring Wise County, Virginia, there in Southwest Virginia. And Adriana first kind of comes to prominence for readers through her book, Big Stone Gap. And Big Stone Gap is a great story set in Appalachia. And she has took that book and created a film that people really loved. It had Ashley Judd and
Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
that's a big deal.
And not only did she write the novel, she also directed the film, and she brought it and actually had it shot there in Wise County. So she's been a great champion for Southwest Virginia, and we're so excited for her to come be with us.
Oh, this is great, and this is a free event too, again coming up on Thursday, May 25th. So Teresa, what was the process like to get Adriana to come here?
Well, technically, I guess it started in 2009. I went to VLA, which is a Virginia Library Association meeting, and she was supposed to be the guest speaker. Well, we drove 9 hours, and the person I was with was really, really sick, and we get there and we find out she's canceled. So I decided right then and there in 2009 that I would never read any of her stuff, because I drove all that way, and that's the only person I wanted to see. Well, fast forward to when, of course, COVID, and towards the end of 2019, somebody had sent me a video she was doing on Facebook. So I started watching her videos that she did, and she was interviewing authors, and I made the comment, hey, I would love you to come for our library. Yeah. And she's like, I think I could do that. Well, I'm like, no. I didn't have enough cell service, so I was holding my phone up. I'm like, did she say that? And of course, I emailed her and I talked to her, and she was scheduled to come in November 2019, but then somebody got sick, so she couldn't, so we rescheduled it for the spring of 2020. Well, of course, COVID hit.
Yes.
Which stopped everything. So technically, I guess we've been planning this for 14 years, but in reality, probably the last 4 years that we've been talking on Facebook. She has actually, she did our library too. She did an in-focus on our library through her Facebook page, which she does, and it's Adriana Inc., and she has thousands and thousands of viewers. So we was a spotlight library for her too.
Right, and like you said, a Virginia native, Brian, you were saying that she's from Big Stone Gap, and that's one of her books. So, and she's written more than 20 books. So let's talk about her novels. What genre are they?
I think the interesting thing about, if you look at Adriana's career, is that she starts off, she is a kind of an Appalachian novelist, you know, with the Big Stone Gap series. But now she's branched out. She's really embraced her Italian heritage. So her latest book, The Good Left Undone, really goes into that. And also, in some ways, she's become a historical novelist. The Shoemaker's Wife is a good example of that. She tells a really great epic story. A lot of them has a little romance in it, but it also is a lot about family, and I think that really ties her to our region, because family is so important to the people of our community.
So what does this mean for the library in Buchanan County, the public library, to have Adriana come there in person? That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal for us. I mean, I think that any other library in the country would be clamoring to get a guest of Adriana's caliber to come. Not only is Adriana a great novelist, she's a wonderful speaker. I mean, she absolutely can captivate an audience like nobody else I have ever seen. She has a wonderful rapport both with young and old. Actually, some of her greatest work is stuff that she does with young people of Appalachia. She's the co-founder of the Origin Project that helps young people start to record their own stories and preserve their own voice and find their own voice. And Adriana, she does this. Actually, I heard her say one time, she says, listen, she says, I'm going to ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And a lot of times young people say, I don't know. She says, you're lying to yourself. You know what you want to be. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace that and go with it, because you can do anything that you want to do. And Adriana's living proof of that. You know, she goes from being, a young student in Wise County, Virginia, not any different than a lot of the students there in Southwest Virginia or Southern West Virginia. And she wanted to be a novelist. She wanted to be a writer. She wanted to be creative. So she's done that. She's taken advantage of the opportunities that were presented to her, and young people here can do the same thing.
Oh, this is just great that she's coming to talk to folks too. And again, this event is free. What can folks expect the night that she's coming on the 25th?
Fun. Food.
Yes.
Nice.
Just a friendly environment. She's very animated. She's very friendly. When you walk into our library, you're going to feel like you belong there, that you're part of our family.
Sure.
And she's also part of our family. And it's just going to be a wonderful, very easygoing, fun night.
Yes. Yeah, like if it's going to be, it's Mother's Day. It's a very important day. If you're late getting a present for your mother,
There we go.
Call her and say, Mom, I've got a great trip for us. We're going to Grundy, Virginia to see Adriana Trigiani,
Yes.
and it's just for you.
Oh, see, I like it. You're giving folks some ideas out there as well. And as you mentioned, she's going to be discussing her newest book, The Good Left Undone. So can we talk more about what that's about?
Sure. The Good Left Undone is, it starts off in Italy, and it takes place over a couple of generations. It takes some stops over in England. It's this far-reaching, epic story that really has a heart to it. And I think that's part of Adriana's best work, is you really get a sense of the heart and the feel of these characters, and they come to life for you on the page. They really jump out at you, and by the end of a book that Adriana's wrote, you really feel like that you've got to know these characters and that you've spent time with them, and you're pulling for them the whole way. And that's a wonderful attribute that a writer can bring to the page, is that you're invested in what those characters are doing.
And also, Adriana's visit is important because it launches the Lee Smith Speaker Series. It's sponsored by the Friends of the Buchanan County Public Library. So what exactly is that? Let's talk about this series and how important this first event is.
Lee Smith, of course, is one of the most best known and widely respected Southern writers of her generation. And guess what? She was born right there in Grundy, Virginia, and she grew up there in Grundy, and she has let us use her name to attract authors to come to Grundy, Virginia. So we're going to have, we're kicking it off with Adriana, who also is a huge fan of Lee Smith's work, because, when Adriana first started writing, Lee was one of the first really prominent Southern writers, especially women writers, who really captured the voice of Appalachian women. And she was an inspiration to Adriana. She's been an inspiration to lots of other writers like Silas House, Carter Sickles. She has this great impact. And we're really living in a golden age of Appalachian literature. I mean, we're really coming into our own, and we want to make Grundy, Virginia, the epicenter of that. And I think that with Adriana's visit, it's a great way to kick it off. Kelly Mustin is going to be coming there in July. And I think bigger and better is in store for us.
Great. Well, I really want to thank both of you for coming in. Brian and Teresa, can't wait to hear what Adriana has to say, so we hope you all can make it out to the Buchanan County Public Library for this free event. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you
for having us.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to this edition of In Focus, everyone. Now we are putting the spotlight on an upcoming motorcycle ride. We featured it here on In Focus before. It's called Nianne's Ride for the Kids. It's in memory of an area woman who died of cancer more than 10 years ago. And Nianne fostered more than 100 kids and adopted 4. And the proceeds from the annual event go to a cause closest to Nianne's heart. So Tracy Sibley, who goes by Sibs, he joins us now in the studio, and you're Nianne's brother. Thank you for being here again this year.
Well, thank you for having us.
And also joining us is Cy Gadd, a member of Bikers for Christ. So Cy, thank you for being here as well.
Thank you.
So Sibs, I'll start with you. What should folks know about this year's ride?
Well, it looks like it's going to be big.
Yeah.
One of the hotels that we booked is full.
That's
and
good.
had to get another motel. We're going to have, I'd say, probably 8 or 9 states represented as far as Bikers for Christ coming in from out of town. We've got a lot of local interest, so You know, I don't know, we might beat the one year we had 270 in the ride, but we've got a good band coming out of Louisville for the after party, and it's open to everybody, you know, if anybody that wants to come.
Right, and this is a 3-day event, so it's coming up Friday the 19th of May, Saturday the 20th, and Sunday the 21st. So let's break down what folks can expect for each of those days for the events.
Friday, like I said, everything's open, you know, to anybody that wants to come, whether you're a biker or not. Friday, we'll have a meet and greet at the Sleep Inn and Suites in Princeton at 5 o'clock, and then we ride up to the top of East River Mountain Overlook. Last year, we actually, one of our members in North Carolina, his had cancer. His last request was for his ashes to be scattered at the Overlook. So we did that last year, and we'll go up there, you know, to honor him again. And then we'll come down, and everybody will go eat and everything, and then pretty much chill out. And then Saturday morning, 9 o'clock is registration at Cole Harley-Davidson. And we leave out at 10. The ride that we're going to do this year is we're going to revisit one we did in 2019 that was really popular. We're going to ride to Mountain Lake and hang out for an hour and 15, 20 minutes, and then come back to Cole Harley for the after party. Things wind down usually about 4:30 or 5, and then everybody, you know, just fellowship and hanging out. One year we went down to a cruise in Princeton, and then Sunday morning at 9 o'clock we do what we call Rumble Sunday, and it's a biker service. Pastor Z, our founder and president, we fly him in every year from San Diego. He'll be bringing a special message to everybody, and people have compared him to a cross between Billy Graham and Gallagher.
Oh, neat.
And if you ever hear him speak, that's why.
Okay.
And then that culminates the weekend event.
So, Sibs, let's talk about your sister, Nianne, and she loved children, and you've talked about this every year on In Focus. But for those who haven't heard Nianne's story before, let's talk about her and how these proceeds from the ride go back to help area kids.
Okay. She always wanted to have children and never could. When she was younger, she had a very, very large tumor removed that caused her to not be able to bear children. She always had a heart for kids, so she decided to start fostering kids, and she probably fostered 100 local Mercer County kids, and she was the one that if the police removed a child from the home, they would call her and say, "Well, do you have any beds?" And she'd say, "Bring them on," you know, and whenever I'd come, I lived in North Carolina. Whenever I'd come up, I never knew, you know, what new kids I was going to meet and everything. And she ended up adopting 4. And in 2012, she was diagnosed with pancreatic and liver cancer, and you know, gave a fairly short prognosis. And she passed away in February of 2013. And before she got really sick, we discussed a lot of things. One thing is, you know, I didn't want the kids to go back in the system, so, you know, I made a commitment to her that, you know, that they wouldn't, and finished raising them. It was the hardest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
But
it takes a village to raise kids.
Yeah, but I had a heart, you know, I had a heart for helping people that really had that burden to foster kids and adopt. So I actually discussed with her a couple ideas for doing a fundraiser and everything, and she wanted any proceeds to go to the foster kids and families. A lot of times they'll have expenses that aren't covered by the state, and I've got actually, if whoever is at the ride during the after party, I've got a letter from with input from several families. We've been able to provide, or the money that we've raised has been able to provide Christmas, clothes closet at Pikeview High School, things like that, you know, that we've been able to see, you know, results. You know, it's a pulling together of the community. The community of Princeton and Bluefield, they have been awesome every year. This is our 9th year.
Yeah. That's
And,
wonderful.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but
Yeah.
9 years, yeah.
Well, Cy, let's talk about why you think this is important to have Nianne's ride. It's going 9 years strong now to have it here in the area.
I have a heart for kids too. I've raised several kids from my family and grandkids and stuff, and foster kids is a very worthy cause. It's something I really think's worth it, 100%.
What do you most look forward to about this ride every year?
Well, just seeing the people from other areas, that's in our motorcycle ministry. Just getting to meet new people and stuff.
Yeah, and then Sibs, here's some video that we have from last year. So seeing this video play out, and I'm sure it brings back some memories, but what are you hopeful for for this event? It's fun to watch these videos back. What are you most hopeful for about the 2023 ride?
That we have a big turnout, and everybody that turns out is always so generous. We have awesome door prizes. Of course, we do the traditional 50-50 and have the music. I will say this before I forget, Cole Harley-Davidson has been our main sponsor for years, and they are awesome. The staff, Charlie Cole, Tyler, Debbie, they do the food. They are just awesome. Yeah. To have been a main sponsor for us. Right, and it does take that support and that community partnership and sponsorship to make events like this happen. Yeah. About how many people are you thinking might show up this year for the event? Well, like I said, the biggest year we had, we brought in the machine gun preacher, Sam Childers, and Rich Vreeland. And it was, we had 200, I think it was 270. That's good. In the ride. And we've had, anywhere, so usually we average 120, 130 bikes. I hope this year we have 500. Right, that it grows year by year. Right. But like you said, it's open to anyone, right? Anybody, so if someone doesn't have a bike, they can still come celebrate. Yeah. Especially with the destination ride to Mountain Lake. Yeah, in Giles County. Yeah, we usually have, sometimes we have 8 to 10 cars following behind us. And the same comments, wow, that's a lot of bikes, Yeah. They have a bird's eye view. Very cool. Now, how can people sign up for the event and get more information? I know there's an event page on Facebook. I've been following that to get information. But what would you suggest for people who are interested in learning more? Just you can contact me or any Bikers for Christ member through the Facebook page, or you can call Cole Harley-Davidson. They can pass on a message to me. We're accessible. We have a Facebook page, Bikers for Christ East River Mountain Chapter, and so we get messages through there and everything. So. And what is the cost for the ride this year? The ride's $20 a person, and that includes pretty good food. Nice. And a door prize ticket. You can also buy additional door prize tickets. And there again, the community has been awesome. We get door prizes that just blow my mind sometimes, Yeah, so. Well, I can't wait to see how this event even grows and evolves in the next 5 or 10 years and beyond. So 9 years strong, love it. Well, thank you for being back with us, Sibs, and Cy, thank you for joining us today, too.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
We'll be right back after this break. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to this edition of In Focus. Now we are going to learn more about an upcoming home tour in Greenbrier County. The Greenbrier Historical Society will be opening its doors to the public on June 10th. Quite literally, this year the Society is hosting the Homes Among the Hills tour event. It will happen from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. on June 10th, and 5 historical homes in the Muddy Creek Valley of Greenbrier County will be open to the public. And once you're there on the tour, you can learn about the history of the area, diving back to Native American culture in the region. And organizers say the weekend will be complete with demonstrations, thorough history lessons, and most importantly, activities for the entire family. Sounds like so much fun. Joining me now via Zoom to share more information is Margaret Hambrick. She's the chair of the Home Tour Committee. Margaret, it's so great to have you this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So Margaret, what should our viewers know about this upcoming tour?
Well, it's really unlike any other home tour that has ever been held in the Greenbrier Valley for several reasons. One, we have 5 places that people can visit, and 2 of those are really exciting new opportunities. One is the Blue Sulphur Springs Pavilion, which has just been restored and is absolutely gorgeous. And there'll be activities there, including a dramatic presentation. There'll be horses with a buggy, and you can take a photo with them. There'll be food and portable toilets and all other things to make you comfortable. The other really exciting opportunity, other than the houses, is the Arbuckle Fort Preserve. And that's where we will have a Native American habitat constructed as though it were from the 1600s, when the Native Americans were part of this valley, and in fact the only inhabitants of this valley. Also there, we have Arbuckle's Fort, and we will have the 2 archaeologists that excavated it, Doctors Kim and Stephen McBride. They will show some of the artifacts that they got from that restoration, that excavation, and then they will lead tours to the fort site. We'll have James Reed and his son Jay, and they will have Native American artifacts that they've collected over the years so that people can see and touch the real thing. Just very exciting. Then we have 2 marvelous homes. We have a 1795 home of one of the earliest settlers in the valley, and an 1860s home, which started as log, then was added to in the early 1900s with a frame addition, and finally in 2015 was renovated to be everybody's dream of modern luxury. In addition to all of this, and because agriculture was so important in this part of the world, and still is, we have a tractor show. We have some of the very earliest tractors that were ever used in this part of the world, and some of the implements that they would have pulled in order to facilitate farming in the age of mechanization. So it's really a full opportunity for families to experience what the history was like in the Muddy Creek Valley from the 1600s through to the 1950s.
And Margaret, the photos that we're seeing here on our screen, it's beautiful. It's so picturesque. Greenbrier County is beautiful as it is, but to have the chance to see these historic homes dating back from the 1700s, 1800s, and everything else you mentioned, it just sounds like a great opportunity, like you said, for the whole family to come out and learn. What are you most excited about this year's home tour?
Well, I'm excited about all of it. But one of the other really new concepts that we are doing this year is having a book. We have a 60-page book about the history of the Muddy Creek Valley, and we appreciated the sponsors who helped us produce that. In that book are additional places that people can read about and learn about. They're called view spots, places where you can just pull to the side of the road and read the history of a house or a ruin or some other point that was important in the history of the Muddy Creek Valley. So even though you're not able to go in these particular places, you're able to see them from the outside and to learn about them. So we're very excited about this new concept of bringing history to everyone who comes on the tour.
Yeah, this is certainly a great concept, Margaret. Is this something that's brand new this year for this entire tour, or how long has this been going on?
This is brand new for this tour, and it's partly because this tour is out in the country. We're not just on the city streets or the town streets. So we wanted to make sure that as people drove by spots, if they had questions in their mind about, gee, I wonder what that was about, or I wonder what could have happened there, then this book is going to answer a lot of those questions.
And Margaret, if someone at home is interested in signing up for this tour, how should they go about doing it? How much does it cost, and how do they sign up for it?
Well, it's really easy. Go to greenbrierhistorical.org, which is the website for the Greenbrier Historical Society. There's a icon that says events. Go to there, go to home tour, and then all the information is there. In fact, ticket sales are only really online or at the sites on the day of the tour. But if you purchase early and online, you get a discount. So it's $30 for an adult before midweek of the tour. And then after that, it's $40 for an adult on the day of the tour. For children, 18 and under, so that's a big range, it's going to be $10 no matter when you purchase the ticket. There is one other thing that's happening, and that is the opening reception on Friday night. That's at the 1834 Supreme Court of Appeals of Virginia Law Library and Study Building, and the enslaved quarters, or Rhoda's Kitchen, that are located in Lewisburg. That opening reception is $75, but if you buy those two tickets together, the reception and the home tour, then it's $100.
Okay, that's wonderful, Margaret. I really appreciate you joining us on this edition of In Focus. We've run out of time, but I really appreciate you joining us to share more information with our viewers.
Thank you.
And I do want to let our viewers know that this show is about important people, events, fun historical tours, like you just heard from about Greenbrier County, what's happening there with the home tour. So if you have an idea for an In Focus, you can always send me an email. It's mzosh, M-Z-O-S-H at WVVA.com. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. But that does it for this edition of In Focus. We'll see you all again next Sunday.